You're tuned into the Lady Charmaine Live Show, and I'm your host, Lady Charmaine. And of course, we got another great interview for you today. Today on the show, my guest is an actress best known for her role as Michelle Kristoff in the Canadian comedy series Seed. And she is here today to talk about her role in the Hulu Emmy-winning drama, The Handmaid's Tale. Help me welcome to the Lady Charmaine Live Show, Miss Amanda Brugel. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you on the show today because I get a chance to say praise be. And really, the reason why I said it, I'll be totally honest, in my house, literally the show has us walking around talking about praise be, blessed be the fruit under his eye.
Yes.
And so I wanted to ask you, how often?
I said it out loud last night.
Oh, you did? And even last night and this morning when my husband was leaving for work early this morning, I said, okay, honey, praise be. And he said, under his eye. And so we just love the show.
Oh, no.
We really did.
Stop it. We're going to have you guys on the show.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, how often do you hear those terms when you're out on the street?
A lot. It's a lot. And people just love to say it and love to like sort of weave it into a sentence. Like I have no idea it's coming. And so, but it's so fun because it's so amazing to be a part of a program where people are now taking like the vocabulary from the show and putting it into their everyday lives. I mean, it's really cool.
You know, it is because we're a Christian household anyway, so we always say praise the Lord. And so for us, it's just fun just to hear those words and just to use those words because we always say praise the Lord. So we just say praise be. And I wanted to ask you about the show and how did you end up landing the role on The Handmaid's Tale? So let everybody know who hasn't gotten a chance to watch the show yet. Tell us about the show and the character you play.
What I play in the show?
Yeah, the character that you play. For those who do not watch the show, we want to bring them up to speed.
Well, the show is it's about a society in which people can no longer have children, like women and men have become infertile. So government takes over and basically forces women into being breeding stock, forces women to be assigned to a household by a different man into trying to have a baby. So it's like where women have become cattle. The character I play is not fertile anymore. She can't have children. So all women that can't have children are forced into acts of servitude. So they are like maids, cooks, cleaners. So I am the maid of the household of the main handmaid. So I am the seeing eyes of everything that goes on in the house. And some crazy stuff goes on in that house.
Absolutely. It really does. And just even watching the show, because you play a Martha. And the one thing I wanted to ask you about, because when looking at your pictures online, you're beautiful, glamorous, gorgeous. And in this role, you play such a demure woman, of course, no makeup, really sweet and really the heart of a servant. And you're like a Martha. And so for those who don't know what a Martha is, what is a Martha?
So Marthas are, like I said, the women that can no longer have children, and so they're the maids of the houses that all of the different handmaids live in, and so they're really responsible for running the kitchen, keeping the home working. We're the lowest class citizens when it comes to status. Women in general are considered lower class in this world, but the Marthas are the lowest, and so they almost like being a slave. And that's how I really started building the character, is that I read a lot about just slaves that would work in houses and just sort of physicality and their mental state. And I read a lot of literature and a lot of writing because it's a lot like being a slave.
A lot like being a slave. And it is a slave because these women, they come from a society where they weren't slaves. They were like a society today, 2018, able to be free, liberated, having children, able to read. And then they go into this society. They're not able to read books anymore. And Elizabeth Moss's character, I just absolutely love Elizabeth Moss because in her, she shows a woman that's of a 2017, 2018 woman being put into slavery, but yet having to submit, but still keeping her own mind. And watching the show, a lot of people don't realize, I don't know if this was actually going on back then, but I want to tell the audience just a little bit about it because the handmaids have to lay between the wife's legs and the wife has to hold the handmaid's hands down as her husband is having intercourse with the handmaid and to impregnate her because the wife is barren. And so the husband has to look at the wife. And it makes for a unique situation. But in Elizabeth Moss's character, which is Fred, the man is actually sterile. The woman is not barren, it's the husband. So what do you do when you have an actual barren husband and you think it's the wife and then they have to try to find other means? The show is a really great show. And for you as an actress, tell me about the challenges of this role. Or were there any challenges, having to come on the set and not wearing any makeup and just be very demure? Was this a challenging role for you out of all the other roles you've played?
The not wearing makeup part I love, just because in everyday life I get to dress up. But for me, the character, the more sort of interesting, dynamic, crazy, out there the character is, the more fun I have. I always say that I would love to play like a pirate with a wooden leg versus playing like a beautiful, polished wife, just because it's so much more interesting. The biggest challenge was my character, again, because I'm a Martha and I'm supposed to be not even seen or heard. I'm supposed to be invisible. I don't have a lot of dialogue, so a lot has to be communicated with facial expressions and looks. And usually as an actor, you rely on the script and on the text, and not having any of that to lean on to be able to communicate a myriad of emotions was difficult at the beginning. I'm used to it now. So much so that when I go on another project and someone hands me a script, I'm like, what is this? I don't need words. But that was sort of tough at the beginning to learn how to do all of that without being able to say anything.
Well, you did a very good job, and you are doing a great job. And we are actually on season 2, which is streaming now on Hulu. You can check it out on Wednesdays right there on Hulu. And again, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, Amanda. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you for allowing us to be able to see something like this and to take us into a handmaiden's life, which is something that I've never seen. I read about it in the Bible, but to be able to see what they have to go through as you bear children for the head of household. So thank you so much for your work on the show. Appreciate you, and I look forward to having you back.
Oh, you're welcome. Praise be.
Praise be. Bye-bye. And
Bye.
again, that was Miss Amanda Brugel. You can check her out on Wednesdays, streaming live right there on Hulu. It is The Handmaid's Tale. If you haven't gotten a chance to see the show, make sure you go back and stream season 1 to bring you up to date to season 2. Great show. It's definitely enlightening. It won 4 Emmys last year, so it's an Emmy-winning show. And this segment of the Lady Charmaine Live Show is sponsored by UpUpAndAwayTravelServices.com. All you have to do to book your flights today or even book your cruises, go to UpUpAndAwayTravelServices.com. And if you would like to start your own travel business, make sure you contact Miss Sherry Brockman at 916-826-6606 today. And again, thank you so much for watching the Lady Charmaine Live Show.